theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Wrong reviews it all on Joy Drive.
Hello, Suzy Wrong.
Hello, Warren. How do you know if you're spending enough time with your friends?
Two things. I start to feel a little isolated. And secondly, a couple of them ring me straight away and say, what's going on? We haven't seen you. So that's how I know.
Would you say that they are more proactive than you are?
In some instances, yes, I would say so. But there's also friends that I'm quite proactive with as well, because I notice that they go a little quiet sometimes, and as soon as they do, I'm on the phone to them. So, yeah, but I mean, I value my friendships, but life is busy, and sometimes that gets in the way and we let them slip. But I notice when I haven't connected, I feel like something is missing, and I feel very lonely when that happens. So I pick up the phone and do something about it straight away. What about you?
I'm asking this question because I feel like I'm relying a lot on the digital aspects of our friendships. Because we are WhatsApping all the time. Like, we might be messaging, 20 times a day. So I almost feel like, we have a very close friendship. And then I'm watching today's program and I'm thinking, like, these people are actually spending a lot of time doing things together. And I thought, I wonder if that means that if it simply means that the nature of friendship has changed, or am I really missing out?
Suzy,
I'm not sure.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's nothing like catching up with friends in person. Yes, we can go onto social media. I don't use social media anymore, but WhatsApp or other messaging services. We can message our friends. We can think we've spoken to someone. But I have to admit, like when I went bike riding the other week, I felt so connected afterwards. I felt amazing. And you don't get that feeling from talking on digital media. And I know that digital media does perform a role for certain people who can't necessarily get out. But if you can, I would encourage you to do it in person. I think it's so much better. I think it's so much more powerful, and that human connection just really that ignites when you're with people.
It really does. There really is a big difference in having the actual presence and physical kind of intimacy of that friendship. And it's almost like an illusion that you think that things are pretty much the same because you're WhatsApping all day. But I think there's certainly a very big difference, and we have this. I know you probably are. You are a lot less digital than I am. I have so much reliance on the devices that it makes me think that my friendships are good, but maybe. Well, they could be better if we all made the effort to spend more time together. But also with age, we find that we don't live so close together. Like my close friends are from uni days where obviously we were all hanging around at the same places at the same time. But now because we're kind of, half an hour apart, and it feels like too much of a distance. And also, we have our kind of our responsibilities. The show makes me think that I need to kind of make more of an effort.
I would encourage you, Suzy,
get back that old friendship.
Half an hour's not far, really, and I would encourage you to. I don't know. I have a list of people. I always make a point, if I haven't physically called them, at least if I haven't seen them, I ring them on the phone and chat to them. I know people see their phone ring and go, oh my God, it's him again. But I always do. I don't like just leaving it to digital media. And when I was using social media, I was really lonely, to be honest with you. If I can be blunt, I found it really lonely. Lots of connections and all this sort of thing. I don't even know who they are. Like, I might know them through someone, but I'm not going to go to them if I say, hey, I need to have a chat about something that's really worrying me. I'm not going to do that to someone I hardly know. I personally, I think there's no replacement for spending time with friends if you are able to do so. And like half an hour, Suzy, I don't know, that's not far.
No, it's not. It's just become a bad habit, I think. And I think maybe because we're actually very close, maybe you almost take it for granted a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe that is the case. And also probably, you from Singapore, I mean, I imagine that's how you keep in contact with people. You can't just say, hey, let's meet for a coffee quickly to someone in Singapore. So maybe it's sort of seeped its way in there, and it's applied itself to your local friends as well. But I love it. I just that feeling of sitting down with people and just, even if it's a one-on-one, I'm not a big, groups of people, but just that connection and just that feeling of I'm really enjoying talking to this person and listening to them and connecting with them. There's a feeling that I can't. It's an intangible feeling. It's just wonderful. I love it. I'm addicted to it. I think it's important. But having said that, I'm not perfect, and I do let my friendships slip sometimes through busy life.
Thank you for that. What a great answer to my question.
Suzy and Warren's friendship and relationship counselling.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
And today we're talking about this great show,
Smoggie Queens.
called Smoggie Queens.
Tell us about it, Suzy. Give us your review.
Middlesbrough, England is not the most cosmopolitan of towns, which means queer people are very much outsiders in their own homes. Smoggie Queens is a BBC comedy series that's just landed on Binge. It's about a group of LGBTQ friends who spend all their leisure time together. They are a chosen family with a drag queen elder, appropriately named Mom, as head of the house. Smoggie Queens is very silly and often absurd, but also tender with a very big heart. At the core, it tells the story of survival through finding strength in numbers, but it refuses to take itself seriously, always choosing to go for the biggest laughs imaginable. Its sense of humor is distinctly queer, with both flamboyance and defiance determining the tone of its comedy. Phil Dunning is the show creator, and as Dickie, he's one of the funniest characters you will see on TV today. He's crazy, camp, and crass in that classic gay style, but also extremely goofy while pointlessly and mindlessly being vicious about everything and everyone. Smoggie Queens is a lot about pride and queer joy, particularly in contexts of adversity and bigotry. We see social prejudice in action and recognize that the only way to overcome it is through collective power. As individuals, we can be smart and resilient, but nothing can be achieved without queer people banding together. Smoggie Queens also reminds us that out of darkness comes great hilarity. Some of its narrative is based on the tragedies we experience as rainbow people, demonstrating that it is much easier to laugh than cry about it. There is real catharsis in being able to laugh about our challenges, and Smoggie Queens is certainly an excellent watch. I saw it again last night and laughed as hard as I did the first time around. Warren, how did you go with this one?
I enjoyed it. I've got a question for you. Do you think, and you always answer truthfully and honestly, thinking about Smoggie Queens and, this group of people getting along, it's like their chosen family, we all use that term. Do you think we are all bonding together as an LGBTIQ plus community? Do you think we are?
What do you mean we?
Do you think, not like just in general, do you think we all get along and we all help each other? Like we're talking, you mentioned before about together we're stronger and we can get through resilience, and I completely agree with you. But do you think we do that?
I think we have very good structures in Sydney, kind of formalized structures that give us a certain amount of safety. Mardi Gras being a very obvious form of that bond. On a person-to-person level, I think it really varies. I was just thinking in preparation for today's chat about how lucky these young people are in the show to have Mom. And we hear about the American ballroom scene, the New York especially ballroom scene, where they have these houses and they have people taking care of each other with like a figurehead. And I thought about how when I was growing up in this country, in this city, when I was new to this city in my early 20s, and I was just we were just relying on each other. We were all very young. We were all in our early 20s, and we didn't have someone with life experience guiding us. All our parents were, in our home country. And I'm thinking about that, and I think that was a really that was a misfortune, because we all went on to make mistakes that I think if we had if we had kind of a stronger guiding force, we wouldn't have gone down those paths. And because we were all, like peers, we had similar ages, we weren't able to tell each other about the bad decisions that we were making. So, now that I'm in my 50s, I look back and thinking, oh, that's a regret and that's a regret. And I'm sure my life would be at a better place now if there was someone with life experience, even 10, 15 years more than me to say that, think twice, that this is what's going to happen. That's a consequence. I didn't have that.
Suzy, if we go back, I'm thinking about the mid to late 90s. We're here in Melbourne anyway, and let's go back to the AIDS crisis, and it hit. And I'm thinking of things. My mind's going straight back to Fairfield Hospital and the closure of Fairfield Hospital, and also the patients in there, and the community everyone came together and helped and did a wonderful job, and in particular the women as well did an amazing job caring for those men. I don't know. I know that we don't have anything comparable, and I'm not comparing anything to back then to the HIV crisis, but in terms of the reaction and everyone coming together, I don't see it happening so much now. I feel like we're all under our letters and we tend to stick to our letters. And that's why I hate the acronym.
When I observed how Mardi Gras was changing over the last maybe 10, 15 years, obviously it was frustrating to see how it didn't have kind of the political intensity, I'd say, that it used to have. I also understood that times have changed, that what we had, the original people involved in Mardi Gras had intended was to achieve a certain level of freedom and equality. And once you get close to that place, I'm not saying that we ever got to that final destination, but as we were approaching the result that we wanted, what the freedom gave us was an easier way to live our individual lives, but also it kind of made it less necessary for us to be so closely linked. And so in a way it was yin and yang. It was the two things. It was good and it was bad. It's good to see that people are much freer than we were in the 80s, 90s and before. But we can see clearly that we aren't quite as closely linked as we know we can be.
I think so too. I feel like those of us who perhaps, you touched on this before, do have a bit more experience. We're a little bit older and we've seen a lot of stuff. I think we need to step up to the plate and help the younger people.
I think so.
Other people. We need to show that initiative, that it's almost like a custodianship of the community. And some do it, but some don't. And I feel like, let's call a spade a spade. I reckon we could improve as a community. That's my opinion.
I think so. I think for those of us who have sort of kind of a public platform, as you do with your radio,
but even amongst your friends,
I think I have recently, in recent years, become quite conscious of being a community elder. 50-something isn't very old, but because, the trans community is small, and trans people have this thing where, we die younger, and, we didn't have a lot of people come out from earlier generations. So I have become an elder in the community, and even though I haven't kind of formally taken on people that I would call my children in that house sense, but I'm always very conscious that what I say and what I do and how I live my public life, for as much as people do pay attention, whether it's on social media or my blog or on the radio on this radio program, that I am setting an example. So in that way, I feel like I'm doing some of that,
and a
here.
fabulous job at it, Suzy, too, I must say.
Thank you. I often wonder what it is that prevents people from approaching me. I'm assuming there are younger trans people, especially who look up to me in some ways. I'm not saying that, you know,
Not just trans, though.
Okay. I don't understand how how I sometimes feel that maybe I kind of portray myself as being a little bit unapproachable, and I don't really know how to address that. I think because I can be quite how do you describe it? Like, I can be quite an independent person, so maybe it gives off this vibe that I don't like to be approached. You know, maybe the truth is I don't actually like to be approached. But, you know, I'm sure if people come up to me in a really nice way and they're sending me messages indicating that, oh, I need mentorship, especially in the form of like career mentorship, people want to do things in theatre. I am more than happy to do it. But, with what I do, I just assume that there are, well, I know that the people paying attention, and I just have to, do my job the best way that I can, and in the most responsible way that I know.
I know, and I know certainly, you know, amongst gay men, as we get older, you know, a lot of us wonder, well, what's my worth now in the gay scene? You know, perhaps my body's not as good as it used to be. You know, perhaps I don't consider myself as good looking. I get snubbed by certain people. You know, all sorts of things can happen as you get older, and I don't think we value older gay men. And I reckon there's a role, because as you get older, you do become that role model. You've got all that experience that others haven't been through, and that's a really important thing, because when I was growing up, I didn't have any role models, and I would have loved to have. You spoke about it before, Suzy. It would have been so much easier for someone to say to little Warren, hey, you know, this is what's going to happen here. This is how you do this. Just a guide or something. I would have loved it. I reckon we should be valuing the older members of our community, and they can be those wise old owls like you are, Suzy.
Look, you're right that we need to step up when the opportunity is there, but it's also true, like you were saying, that we are snubbed. Like, they would feel like, oh, they don't understand our generation, our new circumstances are different from theirs. I think what I like to do is kind of observe as much as I can what the younger generations are doing. You know, like, obviously our life has so much to do with the party scene, you know, and it's not all about. Yeah, there's more to it, but it kind of roots itself in that sort of thing. So I like to observe how the younger ones are organizing through nightlife. And, you know, I feel like it's a new thing that trans people have, like an organized nightlife, and I feel very heartened by observing that. And, you know, from what I can see, they're doing the best they can, and I think they are doing well. Obviously, when you're there on the ground, you don't know what shenanigans are happening. But I am happy. I'm happy to see that there is an effort to organize. I do feel like I need to kind of participate a little bit more, and I just haven't been able to get myself to participate as much as I should, because, you know, of my commitments in theatre being, you know, all nighttime things. There's nighttime activities in theatre, and I feel it's so hard to have that and have to get involved with the queer party scene. But probably it's possibly one of the things that I should pay a bit more attention to.
Exactly. And my point is, as we get older, we're still valuable, and more valuable than ever. And so are the young people as well. So anyway, Suzy, I love it. Smoggie Queens. So good.
Yeah. Did you have a few laughs? I found the humour really funny.
I did.
It really spoke to me.
I did. Mark from Footscray says, I grew up in a working class town, and this show hit home for me. It really captures what it's like to feel different in a place that doesn't always embrace diversity. Lexi says, I was expecting something light and fun, but I didn't expect to cry. The relationships in the show feel so authentic, and I love how it portrays the power of chosen family.
I'm so happy to hear that, because there are these shows that get financed and get produced, and you feel like, but nobody's talking about it, and you wonder if anybody's watching it. So it's really great to hear that 2 people at least have checked it out, because I really do love the show.
One more comment that I think is really important. Priya says from Richmond, one thing I really appreciate is how the show doesn't shy away from showing the struggles of working class queer people. It's refreshing to see a different kind of queer story, not just the glossy big city version. That's true.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that information. I love hearing about these reflections.
Suzy, I love chatting with you. I could chat for an hour with you. Andrew's looking at me going, where are the news headlines? 7 minutes late. What are we watching next week?
Blue Jean on SBS On Demand is a film set in 1988 England, when a new law stigmatizing gay and lesbian people forces Jean, a closeted gym teacher, to live a double life. We'll talk about Blue Jean when I see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Joy Drive. Smart, fun radio.